Hello, you precious ones. I'm here because I noticed that there's a lot of anxiety going around, especially with the elections, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about anxiety. So, anxiety is a fear of a hypothetical fear, and it's very future based, and it is. Often happens when we get in our heads. So our heads are this magnificent tool that we have, and we really want to get our heads in service of our hearts, and this will alleviate anxiety. So the way anxiety works, okay, so we're animals, right? So if we have an immediate threat, we can address the immediate threat. Fight, flight, freeze, fawn, we have these natural instincts. But because we have this noggin here, this special ego, this special ability to self-reflect, the kind of animals that we are, we have the ability to ruminate on hypothetical, possible, horrible situations. And this is what causes anxiety. So the way to unwind your anxiety is to come back to the moment. And you can recognize that right now, you are safe. In this moment, you are safe. You have a roof over your head. You have food in your stomach. The temperature is okay. You are okay right now. And so that's the first part, is just anxiety is future thinking, and it's fear of a hypothetical fear. Now, most other animals can only feel actual immediate fear. Most animals are not anxious. There's some neurotic dogs that get anxious, but I don't know. They're probably just picking up on their owners. I don't know what's up with that, but most animals in the wild, they don't get anxious. Okay, so we just have this ability to contemplate hypothetical horrible situations. So you can just remind yourself that you're safe and get out of the mind spaghetti. The mind spaghetti is like, well, what if this happens? But what if that happens? And oh my goodness, how am I going to fix it? How am I going to solve it? But it's looking for the worst case scenarios, right? So in our hearts, if we can just drop our consciousness into our heart, it's just so much more soothing in there. So, how do we get into our hearts? I don't know. It's like our whole body is experiencing this earth realm, right? Like sensations. I can feel the air. I can feel like how the chair feels underneath me, right? So my whole body is giving me information. My head sometimes gives me useful information, sometimes not so useful information. I used to have a dance teacher who would always say, think with your feet, get in your feet. And I didn't understand what she was talking about. It was over the course of a couple years that she would say this periodically, and I would always kind of try it, but it didn't click until one day. I was on a mountaintop with a client, and I was doing this shamanic walk drumming thing, and I was just wanting to give her this experience of just being really dropped in, and we're walking to the rhythm, and we're syncing up with nature, and I could tell that the client was more relational, and she was wanting to connect, and I was all serious in my shaman mode, and I started to get anxious, she wants this thing from me, but I'm here to do this other thing, and what will she think of me? And so in that moment, I was actually able to drop my consciousness into my feet and to think with my feet, and when I did, I became childlike or animal-like, and I was able to operate purely from instinct, like a kid playing, without thinking and analyze everything, what does she think of me now, and did I do it right, and just be in the moment, like walking with my drum in the mountains, and then everything fell into place fine, and it was like I was able to hold the vibe, and everything went well. And but if I were to allow my head spaghetti to take over, I'd be like, oh no, she's probably thinking I'm crazy. She doesn't understand. I should make small talk. I should explain myself. So that's the head. And that is just can be very anxiety provoking. So yeah, all of our body has lots of information for us. And if you're experiencing a lot of anxiety, it's probably because the head is the main source of the information. And if you can get your head connected with your heart, that's probably the best way to calm yourself down. So let's just see what happens now. Imagine just like dropping all your thoughts, letting them melt into your heart now. Maybe you even feel panic in your heart. Maybe you're so worked up that your heart even feels scared. That's okay. Let's just stay in our hearts like we're giving it a hug, like a heart-to-heart hug to yourself. Can you just feel that energy as if you're hugging yourself? Just let your heart get in contact with itself. Even if it's saying, I'm scared, that's okay. Now, I just want you to know that you can always come back into your heart, that it's always there. And if you're feeling anxious, you can always drop your mind spaghetti and let it melt down into your heart. And you'll get different information from your heart. My heart often just says, yes, yay! That's usually what my heart is saying, but it says lots of things, But I try to speak and live from my heart. And I try to let my head be in service of my heart. So my heart will have an idea, and then I'll let the head make, figure out how to make that happen. But if I lead with my head, then it's just like goes in the wrong direction. Like, for example, when COVID first happened, my nervous system got overloaded in the initial days, and I was scared. Just like a lot of people, most of us, I think, almost everyone. And I was outside of my house, and I was watering my plants. And my system was kind of fried. Like, I was like, information overload, what the hell is going to happen? And my head was going in every worst case scenario. Just like, the government's going to control us, they're going to force vaccines, and blah, 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 blah. See, I have authority issues, so that's where my head took it. I'm sure that depending on whatever already existing issues you have, your head took it in some kind of direction. Also, like, everyone I love is going to die, or I'm going to die, or how am I going to make money? But it's really just your already existing issues. That's just a side note. Okay, so there I am, outside of my house. My system's fried. I'm like, oh my goodness, they're going to try to control us, right? And a wise neighbor came by, and she said, how are you doing? And I said, well, sister, my system is fried. I feel scared. And she said, connect your heart with your third eye. And I was like, okay. So then I actually was able to connect my heart with my third eye, and my heart knows this truth of another world. My heart can see earth, beautiful and harmonious. My heart can see earth where everyone is working together. My heart can see very, 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 very clearly a earth where our resources are managed and distributed harmoniously, where we live in gratitude for ourselves, for each other, for the earth, for each moment, for each breath. My heart knows that reality. So once I connected my head to my heart, I thought, oh, duh. This is what we came here to do. So, but when I was disconnected, my head from my heart, all I could see was every worst case scenario. Now, can you imagine if everyone is living from their head only, and everyone is going around imagining every worst case scenario, whatever that means for you? So-and-so is going to win the election. No, so-and-so is going to win the election. Oh, and this is going to happen. And this, if we're all living in this reality, focusing on visualizing, fearing, vibrating at this reality of the worst case scenario, versus can you imagine, just indulge me, can you imagine if we all drop into our hearts and live from the image that our hearts all know is true? I know you know it too. I know you know it too. I know your heart is dreaming of peace. I know your heart is dreaming of peace. I'm pretty sure your heart is dreaming of peace. I'm pretty sure your heart is also dreaming of a world where resources are fairly and carefully used and distributed, and where humans are cared for, you are cared for, and the earth is cared for. I'm pretty sure your heart also is dreaming of that. So let's get our heads in service of our hearts, and let's live the dream of our hearts. And also, our hearts are stronger than our heads anyways. And our heads are helpful, but they can also just take us in circles. So if you're feeling anxiety, come back to the moment and remind yourself that right now in this moment you are okay, you are safe, you have a roof over your head, you're well fed, and then allow yourself to spend time in your heart center. Try going into your feet too. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I know when the fires happened, I was calm. Like at first, I was calm, and then after a week of sitting in smoke, I started to get a real strong, like a flight reaction. Like, I need to get the hell out of here. Like, California, what am I doing here? You know. So our body has all this information for us, and when there's a real threat, it's super helpful to be able to act on that. And when we are safe and we are okay, it's best to be with what is. And sure, you can plan for a disaster, that's good, and to take the necessary precautions, but also, why don't we plan for heaven on earth? Thank you. I love you.